Welcome to Writing 2010, Week 4. You have a selection of podcasts and there's some YouTube videos to read this week, and there's two Write posts about those. But I'm going to be talking about Synthesis 1, Mapping a Conversation, the rough draft of which is due Wednesday, September 21st on your peer review feedback boards, which I will get to. So that gives you about a week and a half to write a 3-page paper in which you synthesize at least 7 of the 11 or 12 texts, including podcasts and videos, that we have read and watched in relation to Man of Steel. So this is an informative essay, again, not an argumentative one, in which you practice synthesizing the articles together. You're going to find points of divergence and points of intersection and come up with subtopics that relate them together. I'm not going to read these directions. Read them yourselves. Read them closely. Pay attention to the specifications, what the format, double space, 12-point Times New Roman font, 1-inch margins, and so forth. Make sure you get all that stuff right, and page numbers, otherwise you'll lose points in the assignment. Well, I'll get to that too. But if you scroll through this tab, it'll tell you pretty much everything you need to know about how to proceed. In addition to the 3-page paper that you'll be writing, which does include a works cited, so that will be the 4th page. That doesn't count as your 3rd page. You're to create a visual element. So this has a link to some visual organizer elements. It's a way to help you represent your ideas visually. So let's look at this one, for example. So in this top one, you put Man of Steel, and you'd find 3 subtopics or top subjects that the articles speak to. So let's say in this first one, you came up with tradition, and then you would list the articles and a quote from the articles talking about tradition under this heading. And then you come up with a second subtopic, list the articles that speak about that, both arguments that are for and against the film, but as they relate to whatever subheading you decide to choose, and so forth on this. And you can use the same articles can appear in multiple columns, but you have to use 7 of the articles, or texts, I should say, because that includes the podcasts that you'll be listening to this week, which I think will, are perhaps the most useful in terms of judgment and reasoning, and also locating and understanding themes. So those should help you. Moreover, I have a document that I have written, thrown together, a possible template. Do not follow this word for word. Don't leave my little outline prompts here. This is just, if you read it, it'll sort of discuss what you might want to do in this place as you go. I sort of have examples here about direct quotes. You want to use direct quotes. Paraphrase isn't good enough. You want to have actual quotes from the articles that you're synthesizing. Over here it has links to MLA in-text citation and APA in-text citation, and discussion of how to choose which one you want to use. MLA is generally used in the humanities. APA is used in the social sciences. You can use whichever you like. Just use it consistently, and make sure you read on the Purdue OWL site how to format that correctly. We go through. I'll make this document available to you on Canvas, and you can sort of look it over, sort of stepping through how you want to approach it. And then it has a works cited, and if you read my notes on the sections, it sort of explains, gives you a link to how you format a works cited or a bibliography if you're using APA, as well as how to format. This is a podcast, as I note here. Academic journals, YouTube videos, online articles, websites, and if you go to these sites. Okay, so this is MLA, and I want to know if I'm going to do in-text citations, I will quote this, I will click this, and if I'm doing the works cited, I can click one of these tabs and it will have explicit directions on how I would format that particular thing. So that should be helpful to you. At the bottom page, I have an example of a visual organizer. Okay, so Man of Steel, that's the topic. Then I would have a subtopic, like I mentioned, tradition. Then you would identify, however many more you want, as long as you use all 7 of the articles and you have them speaking to each other. So I had 4 subtopics, and then under each I would have a, quote from text A, quote from text C, quote from text D, quote from text E, and all these quotes would speak to the subtopic of tradition. And so if one of my texts is Max Landis' YouTube video where he's talking about what Superman should be according to the traditional Superman, I would have that quote and note him, and then I would have a quote from someone else about the tradition of Superman and note that text, and so forth. And then as you're writing your paper, you will put those together. You sort of explain how you organized it visually. You can do whatever you want. You don't need to do it like this. This is just a really simple way that I thought was intuitive, but I've had people do really interesting things like do trees or Thanksgiving turkeys or whatever. So that's one way you can choose to do it. Now, if you're, looking for sort of a shortcut on how to come up with a visual organizer and you don't want to pick one off YouTube, there's SmartArt in Microsoft Word, and I used Hierarchy because it's a sort of a top-down thing, and you can choose any one of these, and it's pretty intuitive to do. And so there's a way that you can do that. It might be helpful to organize your. You'll most likely want to do your visual organizer first because then it's going to organize your paper. You'll see you've got these quotes pulled out, and then when you're writing, you can look at well, here's paragraph 1. Your first subtopic, and I discuss sort of the expectations of this, not just dropping the quotes in by themselves, but situating them within your own sentences, putting them in conversation with each other, and I sort of discuss I give advice about how you might approach doing that. Some of you, this is super intuitive, and you know what to do, and you don't really need my directions for how to do that, and that is awesome. But for those of you who do, we have this little template. Don't follow it directly. You don't have to follow it directly. I have 4 subtopics. You may only have 2, but you still use all 7 articles. You may have 5, and maybe easier to do that to use all the articles. The trick is going to be coming up with the subtopics, the common subjects and issues that are addressed across. So you want to look through them, the articles, and sort of note those as you go. And you can look at that and use it, to help you if you like. Okay, so when you're ready with your rough draft on Wednesday, September 21st, you are going to post it to your let's see, where is that? Okay, your peer review feedback board. This will have directions on how to proceed with the peer review. When you're finished peer reviewing, you'll submit. You return a virtual copy of the peer reviews you did to your peer feedback partners, and then you will submit the ones you did of each of theirs, or I think there's one group that only has 1 person or 2 people in it. You'll submit a copy of the peer reviews you filled out for someone else to me for credit. And if you look at the assignment, it's going slow. Okay. you'll see that this assignment is worth 50 points for the paper with the visual element and 50 points for the peer review. So the peer review is worth as much as the paper. So it's really important to get that into your peer review feedback partners on time, and to do theirs well and get them back. And so the final draft is due via Canvas on Wednesday, September 28th by 11:59. You'll need to submit your this date is wrong. I pushed it back, but you'll need to submit your peer reviews by what did I change that to? The 25th. Yeah, that's right. By Sunday the 25th. So you will have a couple days between you turn your rough drafts in on Wednesday the 21st. You'll have until the 25th to fill out the peer review forms for your peer review partners. And then after Sunday, you'll have until the next Wednesday to, based on their notes, to revise, finish a final draft, and submit the final draft by Wednesday, September 28th to the peer review, or to the Synthesis One Mapping and Conversation Board. Okay, now for the peer review. I want you to design your own peer review document. It shouldn't be too complicated. After finishing your first draft, assess your work. So don't just finish and send it. Read it aloud to yourself to see if there are grammatical problems or logical inconsistencies, and determine 5 different aspects to which you would like your peer review partner to pay special attention. So basically, you're creating what your peer reviewer will be giving you feedback on, rather than just telling them to note things. You're saying, okay, well, I want you to speak to the cohesion. What do you think about my subtopics? How are my how's my synthesis of the quotes, of the direct quotes? How's my formal execution? Am I doing this right? So just to sort of guide you, I have a sample peer review worksheet. Don't use this one. Be creative. Come up with your own. You can draw from this. That's fine. So this is from I did this last year, although I updated the date. Looks like prompts of just of what I theoretically would like answered about my work, and then I would fill that out, one for each of the people I'm assigned to review, and then I'll go to the peer review tab and submit them. So you will be uploading 2 documents, the one for your first peer review partner and one for your second peer review partner. All you have to do to get full credit for Synthesis One, meaning everyone will get 100% as long as you turn your rough draft into your peer review group on time, fill out your peer review sheets for them and turn those into me, and turn in a hard copy, okay? Everyone gets 100%. This is a diagnostic essay in which I look at your writing and your synthesis skills and your source usage and offer advice and just get a sense of your work and how maybe I can be of more help to you as an instructor. So just do the work and you'll be fine. You don't need to worry about getting it perfect. Just try and do things on time and you get full credit. And that's, it shouldn't be too hard. I will put that little sample template. I'll put it on the peer review conversation board as soon as I turn off this screencast. I'll put it right up here so you can easily access it. But I highly suggest reading these descriptions about how to sort of navigate the paper and approach it. Don't overthink it. It shouldn't be too hard. If you read all the articles, then and you commented on them, you use quotes, you should have some pieces already put together. Feel free to email me with any problems. I'm happy to help and sort of talk you through if you're having if you're confused about what's expected. Otherwise, I will post another demo video probably Wednesday that's sort of going to be demoing the synthesis process of putting 2 quotes together in the context of a paragraph, of your own paragraph, to help students. My on-campus students have appreciated that exercise in the past, so I'll be doing that. All right. Good luck and thanks.